Hello everyone, my name is Conspirito and welcome to the Minecraft Guide Survival Edition Season 1, Episode 1. Whether you are a complete beginner or a more experienced player, I guarantee you will be learning some new things about the game throughout this series, and that's because even though this is going to be a survival let's play, I am still going to be diving deep into the mechanics of the game whenever we have an opportunity to do so. So if you're into starting a new Minecraft world and making the most out of it, then look no further. This is it. And now without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, let's go ahead and go into single player. We'll hit create new world. We're gonna call this one Connie's Survival Guide. We'll set the difficulty to hard. And now if we hop into the world folder, we'll see this area here that says seed for world generator. I'm gonna paste this number over here. This is gonna predetermine how our world is gonna look like. So if you're planning to follow along this guide and would like to have the same world generation that we're going to have, then you're gonna wanna copy and paste it into your world seed generator as well. It's nothing special really, it's just a seed that I stumbled upon while randomly generating worlds to pick one for this series, and it's a pretty darn beautiful one. If you're feeling unsure about whether you'd like to use this seed or have a random one generate, then I highly recommend just checking it out throughout the first episode and deciding for yourself. I'll be leaving the seed number in the description below. And now we're not going to be touching anything else in here, so let's just go ahead and boot this thing up. Okay. So, we have ourselves a fresh new world. We have spawned on a tiny beach next to a lovely plains biome. The sun is rising for its very first time, and since it's day one, we're gonna go ahead and get straight to work. Now, the first three things that we're gonna wanna do on our first day are gonna be to get some tools, get some food, and get some shelter. To get started, we're gonna need to go ahead and punch a tree. Make sure to break every single one of these logs, otherwise the leaf blocks around them won't be able to decay, leaving us with a floating treetop, which is not the most visually appealing detail to have lying around our world. Once those leaves start decaying, they will drop a couple of items, including the corresponding tree type's sapling, as well as some sticks, and if it's an oak tree, sometimes some apples. If we want, we can go ahead and replant that sapling to have another tree grow in its place. Upon breaking, that tree will drop its logs. And now if we go ahead and press E to open up our inventory and press this little green button over here, it'll open up our crafting journal, which is going to show us a list of recipes that we can or cannot craft. For example, we want to craft this crafting table over here. However, as you can see, it is surrounded by a red outline, indicating that we have insufficient materials to craft it. In this case, these materials are wooden planks of any type. Luckily enough, we can craft some planks using those logs we just broke down. And now that we're able to make ourselves a crafting table, we're gonna craft ourselves one, and then by selecting it from our slot bar and right-clicking on the ground, we'll be able to place it. If we then go ahead and right click it again, we'll be greeted with an even larger crafting grid, which is going to allow us to craft more complex items. We're going to have to craft some sticks before we can craft our basic tools. And once we do, we're going to want to craft ourselves a wooden pickaxe and a wooden axe. The axe will allow us to break anything wooden much faster. That includes our crafting table, as well as increase our attack power. And now, because we were lucky enough to spawn next to a bunch of sheep, we can now go ahead and place the need for shelter lower in our priority list. And that's because if we were to kill one of these sheep... Oh man, not the eyes. Can this guy hear us or something? Okay, let's not overthink this. We can do this. We're just gonna count to 3 and choppy chop. 1, 2... I can't do this. Okay, fine. You get to live. We'll just have to find another sheep and kill it before we get attached to it this time. And now we only really need 3, so 2 more. Also, if you jump and attack while you're falling down, you'll effectively perform a critical hit, as indicated by those star particles, dealing more damage and allowing us to kill that sheep in one blow, even with a wooden axe. You, my friend, on the other hand, are one lucky sheep. You know what? I think we're gonna keep this guy as a pet. We don't have a name tag yet, but we should call you Jerry. Yeah, Jerry seems fit. Once we've hunted down 3 sheep, we should have 3 pieces of wool. And now if we go ahead and place these in our crafting table alongside 3 other planks, we'll be able to craft ourselves a bed. You see, in Minecraft, every time the sun sets, the world goes dark, allowing for hostile mobs to spawn, which is not exactly in our best interest on our first day. Hence the need for shelter. However, because we now have a bed, we're going to be able to effectively skip through the night by sleeping in it. When it's nighttime, of course. We'll also get a prompt saying respawn point set, which means that if we were to now go around the world and in an unfortunate series of events die, then we would respawn right next to where we placed that bed. If that bed, however, is broken or we just forgot to set our spawn point, then we will be respawned right where we spawned when we started the game. Long story short, now that we have a bed, we can go ahead and place the shelter lower in our priority list and focus our attention on our remaining tasks for our day 1 to-do list, starting with tools. We're gonna want to use that pickaxe we crafted earlier to mine just 3 pieces of stone for now. You'll notice when you pick those up, you'll get the advancement Stone Age. We'll talk more about those later in the series. For now, let's go ahead and open up our crafting table, place these pieces of stone alongside some sticks just like we did before to craft ourselves our first stone pickaxe, which is going to be more efficient and durable than its wooden version. And now at this point you can go ahead and get rid of that wooden pickaxe because you're never going to use it again. However, what we're going to do instead is, since I'm feeling a little sentimental, we're going to keep it and make a special place for it in our base to be remembered as the pickaxe that started everything. And now, before we go ahead crafting the rest of our stone tool repertoire, you'll see the sun has started to set. Our first day has officially come to an end. And so quickly, before any monsters have a chance to spawn, we're gonna go ahead and sleep through the night. Okay, now back to mining. We're gonna go ahead and grab ourselves a few more pieces of stone. Let's say about 20 or 30. And now let's go ahead and open up our crafting table and craft ourselves a couple more stone tools. We're gonna need some more sticks for that. We're gonna craft ourselves a stone axe. Let's keep this one as well. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and craft ourselves a stone shovel and a stone hoe. And I will explain what we're gonna do with those in a minute. Last but not least, we're gonna craft ourselves a furnace. And now, while we could go ahead and eat this meat raw, it's not gonna be as nutritious as it would be if we were to cook it beforehand. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna place them in our furnace alongside a fuel source, like these wooden planks, for example. And now, even though these wooden planks aren't the most efficient fuel source, they'll still be able to cook up 1.5 items per plank. I'm gonna quickly take some fall damage just for demonstration purposes. And now you'll notice the more I run around, jump, and basically do any kind of activity, I'm going to be depleting my hunger bar down here. And when that happens, I'm also going to lose the ability to regenerate my health bar. Which is why we're going to take a bite out of this newly cooked mutton. And in no time our health should start regenerating again. There it goes. Okay, so our essential starting tools are almost out of the way. And I think we might have lost Jerry. Oh no, there he is, right there. Anyway, now that we have a bed and some decent tools, let's go ahead and direct our attention to our need for food again. And now, while we could go around hunting animals for their meat, there is actually a much better thing we can do for a long-term food supply, which is to start our own crop farm, specifically a wheat farm. To do that, we're gonna go around punching grass blocks until one of them eventually... Oh, there we go. These right here are wheat seeds. And now after we have a couple of those, we can use our hoe to turn this grass over here into farmland right next to the water and plant those wheat seeds. Actually, you know what? I think it might be a better idea to go over the full mechanics of crop farming in a more contained environment. Let me just quickly switch up my clothes real quick. Welcome to the lab, everyone. This is where we're going to be doing most of our testing / explaining. That's definitely not a door in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so when it comes to farming, there are two conditions that need to be met for our crops to grow as fast as possible. One is you're gonna need hydrated soil, meaning it has to be close to water. And the second is a decent light level. Now, for a farmland block to be hydrated, it needs to be at least 4 blocks away from water. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. However, if we were to use our hoe to create a farmland block 5 blocks away from the water, we'll see that eventually it's gonna go back to being normal dirt. Any second now. There we go. And now, technically, while you could quickly plant seeds before it has a chance to turn back into dirt, it's just not gonna grow as fast as the ones planted on hydrated soil. And we can demonstrate that by speeding the game up a little bit. And while there is some randomness to it, we can clearly see that the one planted on the unhydrated soil is taking much more time to grow than the ones on hydrated soil. Another cool thing to note is that the farmland does not have to be in direct contact with the water for it to be hydrated. So you could technically have a block or 2 or even 3 in between them, so long as it's within the 4 block range. Or heck, you could even have no blocks between them and it would still work. It also works for farmland that is 1 block down, so you wouldn't need another water source below. Matter of fact, you could even put lava between the soil and the water and it would still be able to hydrate itself. Minecraft logic. I know, right? Okay, so 4 blocks away in each direction from the water, that gives us a 9 by 9 square of hydrated farmland. Per block of water, that is. But now, here's where this gets interesting. If we were to just go ahead and plant our wheat all around this 9 by 9 area, like this, or even like this, it would only grow about half as fast as it would if we were to plant it in separate rows like this. And now, while you might be thinking, wait, what's the point of having your crops grow twice as fast if you're only yielding half of the amount? And you're absolutely right. It is kind of pointless if you're only growing one seed type. However, the growth rate slowing down rule only applies to plants of the same type. So technically you could just have potatoes, wheat, carrots in alternating rows and still get the fastest rates. This is actually the game's way to encourage you to plant different kinds of plants next to one another. And it's based off of a real-life practice called companion planting. Or at least that's what I think it is. Long story short, if you have multiple types of plants, plant them in alternating rows for best results. And now let's talk about light level. So your plants, they need water, they need light. And as long as the sun is out, they're getting plenty of both. However, as soon as the sun goes down, that light is gonna turn dark. And that water, it's gonna stay water. But more importantly, let's talk about light levels for a minute. Let's go ahead and cover our water with a trapdoor. They can coexist, so now we can have our dirt hydrated and we can place a light source on top. So imagine this, you place a torch, it has a light level of 14, and every block you move from that torch, the light level fades by 1. Now here's where our problem is. For our plants to grow as fast as possible, we need a light level of at least 9. That means every seed we plant after that line over here is not going to grow as fast as the others. So just make sure you have extra light sources in the corners or something if you want optimal growth rate. Also, if you're wondering how I'm able to see the light level visually on the ground, that is a mod called MiniHUD. If you'd like a tutorial on how to download it yourself, just let me know in the comments. There is also a vanilla version of this numerical display. If you go ahead and press F3 and F6 to open up your debug editing screen and type in light, you'll see an option called Visualize Block Light Levels. Go ahead and set that to an overlay, and now every time you press F3, you'll now be able to see the block light level represented in numbers. Only instead of just seeing it on the ground, you see it for air blocks as well, which I find kind of overwhelming. I feel like Neo from the Matrix, but my battery is running low. Also, if you don't get the reference, just go and watch The Matrix right now. I think that about concludes everything you need to know about farming. Now it's time to head back to our survivor world and start our very first farm. Let me just quickly switch up my outfit again. Okay, so we are back in our survival world. Let me just quickly grab the seeds from over here and stump over these blocks to force them back into dirt. And now, while we could technically just set up our farm over here to keep it hydrated, I actually already have a spot in mind for our first farm, as well as our base. But there's a little problem. There's no water there, which means we're gonna have to bring the water ourselves. To do that, we're gonna need to craft ourselves a bucket. To craft a bucket, we're gonna need to find some iron. Now, iron can be found in various places. I'm gonna include this chart right here by Reddit user Withplate, or at least that's what I think he's called. Anyway, link's gonna be in the description below. As you can see, this chart shows how frequently different ores generate throughout different world heights. In our case, for iron, marked by this beigey color right there, we can see it has two main peaks, but is generally found pretty much everywhere except for this little blank spot right here, which I believe is about 8 blocks in height. If you're confused with all the numbers, don't worry, they just represent the height of the world. So if we were to climb a mountain all the way up 230 blocks, we would reach the peak of iron generation, meaning we would be able to find much more of it, as well as if we were to just explore a cave at level 16. However, in our case, since we only need a few pieces, our best bet is to just go looking around in exposed stony areas, like this little cave entrance over here. And oh, and there we go, right off the bat, some iron. Make sure to mine it with your stone pickaxe and not your wooden pickaxe, because you wouldn't be getting anything out of it if you were to mine it with your wooden pickaxe. Looks like we only have 2 pieces here, which is a shame. There are some more ores down there, but I do not want to start caving on our first... I do not want to start caving on our first episode. I would much rather leave that for next episode. Anyway, so like I was saying, exposed stony areas, they can be found pretty much all around the world. This pit right here seems quite promising. Oh, what do you know? That's a spawner right there. We're gonna stay away from that just for the time being. I see some coal, some copper, but not much iron, to be honest. Scratch that, there we go, we found some. Now let's carefully go ahead and make our way down here. Oh, sneaky, sneaky, I see you. We're gonna make a platform so that we do not fall or drop our precious iron. And now let's go grab some of that coal we saw earlier. Oh, fantastic. We've got some copper too. I guess we'll just cover them both. So, coal. It has 2 main uses. One of them being the ability to craft torches, which will allow us to light up areas to be able to see better, and also to mob-proof areas, meaning to stop hostile mobs from spawning even when it gets dark. But we'll go over that a little bit later. The second use of coal is actually as a fuel source. If we go ahead and place just 1 piece of coal, we'll be able to smelt 8 whole items, which is significantly better than using planks, like we did for cooking these muttons over here. Anyway, let's go ahead and cook up some of this copper as well. And while it's smelting, we'll open up our crafting table and finally craft ourselves a bucket. And now, if you're one of these players who hasn't played Minecraft in a while, this is where you're gonna wanna focus. As of Minecraft update 1.21.9, you can now use copper to craft copper tools as well as copper armor, which kinda acts like a in-between upgrade between the stone phase and the iron phase. Not to mention you can't really get stone armor, so now you can go ahead exploring caves in full copper armor if you want, which is definitely a nice extra layer of safety. I'm gonna hold on to that copper for now. I really think it's time I showed off that spot I wanted to build in. It should be somewhere... yeah, there it is. Okay, now prepare to be amazed. And voila! Actually, let me turn up my render distance real quick so we can see the whole thing. Oh, yes. Will you look at that? Oh my god. We have some snowy spruce mountains in the background. Amazing. And we already have dark oak, birch, oak, jungle wood. We even have azalea over here. That is gonna be more than enough to build our first base here. And I can already imagine having a trail leading up this little hill. Wow, I mean, we have some work to do. Is that a goat? Alright, and now without wasting any more time, let's get straight to work. I'm going to start terraforming this area a little bit so that it's a little more inhabitable. And then I think this is where we're going to wrap up this first episode. But don't go leaving just yet. I've prepared a beautiful time lapse of the whole process for you guys to enjoy. So just grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want to get notified when the next episode comes out. Thank you very much and peace.